Welcome back, folks, to Night 42 here on Uncle 3's Ghost Story channel. Tonight, we're heading straight to Hong Kong because this story is packed with details that might just bring back memories of the old days, back when things were a lot different. The person who witnessed all this spooky stuff happening right in her neighborhood is a woman named Gigi. So, pull up a chair and listen, because I'm going to tell you Gigi's story. This whole nightmare took place back in the mid-1980s, specifically from 1985 to 1987. Gigi lived in an alley right next door to the home of a husband and wife who were professional chicken slaughterers. Now, if you were in Hong Kong back then, things wouldn't be the way they are today. Nowadays, you go to the market and you buy an industrial chicken or a farm chicken that's already been cleaned up. They even clean the giblets for you. But back in those decades, it was a completely different scenario. If you bought a chicken, it was fully alive. You picked out your rooster or your hen. If the vendor didn't kill it for you, you had to take it home, kill it yourself, scald it with hot water, and pluck the feathers before cooking. Or, you went to places like the one run by the couple next to Gigi's place. If you brought them a bird, about 30 minutes later, the husband and wife, let's call them the Lius, would have slit its throat, drained the blood, scalded it, and plucked it squeaky clean. The Lius slaughtered chickens and ducks non-stop. They specialized in this kind of work. They killed massive numbers of animals, especially during major Hong Kong holidays. The couple made good money from this gruesome trade. They were so busy cutting throats, draining blood, and scalding birds that their arms must have been constantly aching. The Lius started working every morning at 5 a.m. and usually wrapped things up around 6 p.m. One evening, after the shop was cleaned, Mr. Liu would usually set up his wooden bench outside and start drinking with his buddies from the market. There was one particularly special night. It was right before the Lunar New Year. Liu was pretty drunk, and he stayed up drinking until about midnight. He was wealthy enough by this point that he planned to take the next day off for the holiday. Around midnight, Liu started putting away the wooden bench where he and his friends had been drinking, and that's when he saw it. He saw a figure, and it was bizarre. It was naked, just skin and bone, and it was covered in festering, oozing sores. But look closer, and its face was smeared with blood. It had fangs, and its 2 eyes were glowing bright red. What was this thing doing? It was sitting there, drinking the blood. See, when Liu killed the chickens, he often just dumped the blood right down the drain or splashed it straight from his house into the sewer. The whole market area smelled nasty because of the foul, lingering stench of blood flowing out from his place. And there was this creature, cupping its hands and literally sipping the chicken blood dripping into the drain. Liu snapped right out of his drunken stupor. He freaked out, jumped the threshold, and ran straight inside. He flew to the bed, shaking his wife awake. "Honey, there's a demon out there," he yelled. "It's drinking chicken blood." His wife blinked awake, still half asleep and annoyed. She told him he was drunk and talking nonsense, insisting he let her sleep since New Year's Day was tomorrow. Liu swore, "No, I truly saw it. A demon drinking chicken blood." Finally, she forced herself up, and the two of them rushed out to the front of the house. But the figure was gone. Liu was terrified and couldn't explain himself. The horrifying image haunted him so severely that every night he slept, he had nightmares that woke him up in a cold sweat. The new year passed, maybe about a week later. Mr. Liu's nightmares came back, but they were worse. Now, the creature wasn't drinking blood outside. He saw it right next to his bed, gnawing on his toes. In the dream, Liu couldn't move or call out to his wife, no matter how hard he tried. Night after night, the demon kept eating. It moved up his foot, then his ankle. Every single morning, after these terrifying dreams, Liu wakes up and tells his wife about them. And every morning, his foot looked worse. It started getting ulcerated and festering. The wounds soon became incredibly foul and stinky. His wife, though, didn't buy the demon story. She thought he had some kind of nasty skin infection or disease. Eventually, the Lius had to stop working temporarily to go to the hospital. The doctors told Liu he had been infected with a scarce type of bacteria that caused the ulcers. They said this specific bacteria was only found in filthy environments, requiring direct contact with contaminated water through an open wound. Liu insisted he had only gotten sick recently, but the doctors were sure he had had it for a long time and just hadn't sought treatment. Liu, though, swore to his wife and the doctors that the condition was new, even detailing that the necrosis, the rotting, on his foot exactly matched the spot the demon had eaten in his dreams. Naturally, the doctors didn't believe his crazy story. They gave him the grim news. They had to cut off his foot. If they didn't amputate the foot, the infection would keep moving up to his knee and thigh, and that could kill him. The Lius were horrified. Their faces turned pale. But in agony, they had to agree to the amputation. Liu lost his foot. They spent about a month in the hospital for follow-up and observation. All the money they had saved, up over years of slaughtering countless chickens and ducks, was wiped out. While he was hospitalized, Liu was fine. He didn't see the demon. But the second he got home, on the very first night, he was asleep and met the creature again. This time, it went right back to eating the spot where the old wound had been treated. The terrifying part? When Liu woke up and frantically checked the bandaged stump, it had immediately started weeping pus and blood again. He had to rush straight back to the hospital. Liu finally begged his wife, "Please believe me. I saw the demon drinking chicken blood, and then it came inside and started eating my foot. I told you every day, but you wouldn't listen." His wife had been so exhausted from working that she had been almost dazed or hypnotized. But now, seeing her husband getting so much worse, she finally believed him. Since she had no idea what to do, Liu's wife went to the market and told the other vendors. Luckily, there was an old wise woman there. The woman heard the tale and said this was serious. A demon was now active in the area and would hurt more people. She advised them to call a sorcerer or an exorcist. The vendors pooled their money to hire the sorcerer. People who sold paper offerings and hell money even donated supplies for the ceremony. When the sorcerer arrived, he performed the necessary rites and then gave his pronouncement. He confirmed there was a demon, but he added, "This demon is not only harming Mr. Liu, it is also harming a second person who lives right next door to Liu's house." Liu's wife immediately went next door. She learned that the neighbor was indeed being haunted nightly. The neighbor was so terrified that she was on the verge of a mental breakdown, but she and her husband had kept the whole thing a complete secret. When asked why, the neighbor confessed. She'd been pregnant, but listened to someone who advised her to terminate the pregnancy. The baby died in her womb. She followed the advice of wicked doctors who gave her medicine to cruelly force the child out. Then, she committed a truly heartless act. She threw the fetus into the trash can. In East Asian tradition, when a child dies in the womb, you must perform certain rituals to comfort the soul. But the wicked neighbor refused. The sorcerer explained that the baby's soul had been drinking the spilled chicken blood for years, and day by day, it had grown into a demon. It was this entity that had been eating Liu's foot, and now it was haunting the mother who had abandoned it. He added that if the mother had simply named the child and brought the fetus to a temple, Chua, it would have remained an everyday small ghost, and none of this would have happened. Instead, she was heartless, aborting it and dumping it like a bag of trash without ceremony. The sorcerer successfully banished the demon. He was so good that he even took the entity away to serve him. Immediately, Liu's wounds healed up. No more infection, no more bacteria. The doctors were stunned during his follow-up. However, Mr. Liu remains without his foot to this day. The narrator wonders if maybe, just maybe, losing his foot was a grim kind of karma for all the countless innocent chickens and ducks that the Liu couple had slaughtered over the years. This story is definitely real, according to Gigi. It all happened more than 40 years ago in her market. The market has been fixed up many times, but it still stands there today. We won't mention the market's name, though. That's the end of the tale. Catch you next time for Night 43.